Welcome in everyone. Once again, we are live with more Workshop Wars. This time though, it's not the pro version. We are going to do the community event. And as you can see here, we're starting things off with Breakfast versus Huggie. Huggie is famously one of the admins in the practice squad. And I heard that this set could potentially be a banger. So let's see if it is actually a banger. Game 1 will be played on Aftermath. Afterwards, we will have either Quick Mats or Amazon Aftermath as the players' respective home maps. In terms of the bans here, we will have Berbers, Mongols, and Persians banned for Huggie. And Breakfast banned the Armenians, Georgians, and Mapuche. And both players picking a few of the civs that are banned in the pro playoff stage, with the Goths and the Lithuanians most notably. Same will go for the community playoffs though. The most played and most banned civs will be removed from the draft for the playoff stage. But without further ado, let's just hop into game number 1 on Aftermath and see if Huggie can beat Breakfast, who is, I think, roughly 200 elos higher than him. So let's switch to Capture Age there. And it is indeed roughly 200 elos difference, as we have Breakfast here in the blue, playing as the Japanese. And we will have Huggie in the purple, playing as the Gods. And Huggie here instantly going for a barracks. Did run with his scout to collect the sheep first though. Not sure if I like that too much. There are still a few sheep here, and I think having control of the workshops is a lot more advantageous. As we can see, Breakfast already getting loom. Huggie also got loom, but as the Gods, that came in instantly. And we will just have a standoff. No, we will actually have a fight here, as we will see Huggie produce his first militia. And I don't think there is a barracks yet for Breakfast, as Huggie decides to simply run away. No barracks yet. 2 houses, and that's it. Also some villager fighting here. But Huggie will need to run away, as Breakfast there got the first hit. Huggie though housed at 10 population, probably because of the militia barracks opening, where you don't really have the rest for a lot of other stuff. And you do really heavily rely on control of at least one of these workshops with this opening. And as Huggie's scout comes over, villager can now fight. The villager from Breakfast though is deciding to fight the scout instead. Huggie, 3 HP, runs away. But villager on villager, Huggie's villager will win that because of the HP difference there. On the other side, we will have militia versus villager. Also some scout action involved on that side. And we will see the first militia there for Breakfast coming out as well, as Huggie will bring home his weak militia, potentially to heal in the TC. That is a possibility, as the next militia will simply go for the bottom trade workshop. And that's, I think, what we will see for now. Both players content with having just one of the workshops, as the 2 militia here for Breakfast will simply defend this for now, and Huggie will send his militia to potentially relieve the low HP builder villager here, as that villager will just construct another house. Meanwhile, still only barracks and a few houses for Huggie. No wood lines yet. Also, these sheep could potentially be brought in. Huggie has captured them. Huggie's scouting is essentially to the workshops and back. Not a lot else. And for breakfast, his scouting is looking even worse. But also losing some units here and there. I think there was a unit there for Huggie that tried to quick wall, but could not make it in the end. As Huggie has only one militia there. And will send a few of his militias over to the top to potentially capture the workshop and welcome in Chipmunk. Are we about to witness admin rigging? Well, we are about to find out. Huggie is famous for his admin rigging. And like I said at the beginning, there is a 200 elo difference between these players. But I'm not sure how much that will make a difference in these settings. Of course, there will still be some fundamental or perhaps tactical roaches that will be slightly better for the higher elo. Like fighting uphill instead of downhill. There we go. And as Huggie loses the barrack or the workshop at the bottom, he will reclaim the workshop at the top. And rest collected is fairly even, all things considered, but Huggie is idling quite a bit there, 2 minutes of idle TC time. Compared to only 15 for breakfast. So definitely, as Huggie pulls away his militia, not running too close to the TC there. And Huggie will eventually lose these houses. Especially downhill and in Dark Age, these houses will melt quite fast, as we can see. And Huggie is forced to rebuild his houses over there. But has set up a nice wood line. Same goes for Breakfast, who has 6 on wood there. Which I think is quite a lot for Dark Age. Especially considering we're not close to getting up. Maybe Huggie is close, but... or at least closer. I think that is partly because of the idle TC time. Or perhaps there we go, more farms. That is also a very real possibility, as we have a big engagement here, also a smaller one here. Yes, this is where all the new reinforcements will come into, but Huggie will defend the bottom workshop and will hold control of the one on top as well. At least for now. As both players currently still producing some militia here and there. Breakfast currently with 9 on the field. Huggie with 8. And these 2 militia here for Huggie can definitely win that fight, no problem. Especially if this one does not attack. Breakfast pulls it away. And on the bottom, still 5 militia. Only 1 kill on this group. That feels rather low for such a big group. And it is definitely Huggie's favorite thing to do, the admin rigging, but I think Huggie is used to admin rig from behind the scenes, not while in game. So let's see if he can pull something out here while he is in game. Currently definitely is not looking like it. Huggie is now the one floating a lot of wood for a Dark Age build. Also has 6 on wood. So both players 6 on wood, no, 7 on wood. Perhaps there is one there on the stragglers as the berries are about to run out. 12 farms for breakfast, and Huggie is just starting to add in the farms. But Huggie is the first one to click up to the feudal age. We'll get to a mining camp as well. Remember, his militia are cheaper even in Dark Age. For the Japanese, the faster attack, I believe, does not kick in until feudal age. Yes, only in feudal age the infantry will have their attack speed bonus. So for now it's a Huggie advantage because his units are simply cheaper. And for now Huggie is doing a nice job of holding off breakfast. As I say that, breakfast did recapture the workshop on the top. But I think Huggie could potentially make a very nice archer switch early on to hopefully deal with all the militia. 13 on the field now for breakfast. And breakfast nowhere near, or maybe not nowhere near getting up, but definitely is not planning on clicking up anytime soon. And Huggie will take this engagement. We'll get the Man-at-Arms upgrade here. We'll engage before the upgrade is in. This is the best moment for breakfast to take this engagement, because in 15 seconds it's only getting worse. But Huggie for now holds on. And Huggie indeed did add in the range. I'd love to see maybe the blacksmith there as well. Or did he place that somewhere else? Nope. And for now, only one militia patrolling the top there. So we have another range and another blacksmith. Or not another blacksmith, but a range and a blacksmith, rather. So Huggie is now starting to add in the archers. And I wouldn't be surprised with the amount of food that Huggie is already floating if he is maybe playing with the idea of going up to the castle age as breakfast. Starting to add in some walls around his eco at home. Does not feel particularly safe with the fact that Huggie went up that fast, and perhaps should not be, as Huggie now once again has control of both of the workshops. Random house from breakfast will melt extremely fast. And we will have double bid-axe, we will have men-at-arms. There will be 16 of them, 17 if the one in queue is produced as well. Huggie does not have the numbers to deal with that. But there are some archers here and there on the field that could potentially deal with that. Yes, Huggie is now getting horse collar as well. And Huggie might find the woodline. Huggie does not know about the woodline yet, as he is getting the armor. Also has fletching for his units. Did lose the workshop on top, but is Huggie paying attention? Apparently he is not, just passing. And that could have been quite disastrous there for breakfast, who is now immediately adding a few stone walls even to prevent Huggie from getting in. As Huggie, I think, realized, oh wait, that is where the woodline is. But with the stone walls, I think breakfast will have enough time there to recover. And breakfast will bring home all of his men-at-arms. One villager, nope, just passing once again. So we now have 23 men-at-arms on the field there for breakfast, and I don't think Huggie can take that fight. Will get some nice villager kills though. But will unfortunately lose his army there. And Redkensky, welcome in. You are just on time. We've just started with breakfast versus Huggie. First set off today. So far it was a lot of militia, a lot of men-at-arms, and currently Huggie has 13 archers. Breakfast has 25 Japanese men-at-arms. So let's see if these bad boys can do anything against Huggie's archer micro. Or if Huggie will even micro. As Huggie reclaims the workshop once again. Rest collected though, still really even. As the eco counts has now evened up as well. As Huggie is now the one to add in some walls to save the exposed eco, but Huggie once again is the first one up. Will need to micro his archers though. This is not a fight where the archers would want to just stand still. Maybe a bit of miss-micro there. The archers are forced off the hill, so Breakfast still with the numbers advantage. But Huggie with the defender's advantage from the double range that he has there. I think Breakfast needs to realize that he cannot take this fight and will just simply throw away his men-at-arms. I think if you save these bad boys for when you hit the castle age yourself, that could be maybe a better way to use these men-at-arms. Although these men-at-arms on their own here, when Huggie is not paying attention, can deal with a few archers of their own. Huggie though 1 minute away from castle age. Breakfast nowhere near clicking up. And Huggie set to capture the workshop on the top. As Breakfast did do a good job there of reclaiming the workshop on the bottom. But Huggie's army is definitely the one that's looking a lot scarier right now. And let's see what Huggie will do with his castle age. His eco is looking quite solid. 15 farms with horse collar. Crossbow, bodkin coming in. Both. There is a small hole there in his wood line that he needs to be aware of if Breakfast ever decides to try and raid. I don't think... And Tactical Tea Time, welcome in as well. It's raiding party after raiding party today. As we are on our first game, Huggie versus Breakfast. And Huggie is the one in Castle Age. Breakfast, though, is not. So let's see what Huggie can do with 22 crossbows on the field. Versus only 8 skirmishers, 4 men-at-arms, and a spearman. As Huggie is now adding in a few knights as well. And Huggie, once again, just passing. Would love to see maybe... Ooh, there is a second town center. That will at least protect some eco. But I would love to see a university, and I would love to see ballistics for this crossbow. That will definitely help with the raids there. As we will have bloodlines, and Breakfast once again though still nowhere near clicking up, and his woodline. I mean, he could run both ways, but he is forced into a tower. And will lose some villagers, and I think Huggie here is in a great position as he is adding in his 3rd TC even to take game number 1 here. As Breakfast is continuously losing some villagers. And these skirms will only tickle the crossbows as they get sniped. But let's see what Breakfast's main army can do. 8 skirms, a few spears, and some men-at-arms. As Breakfast did do a great job of walling. The Great Wall of Japan, apparently, there is. Now I think a full wall, if part here at the bottom can actually be walled. But I think Huggie prevented that with his knights. And I think the knights will find this villager as well, although knights are notoriously blind. Breakfast is getting close to clicking up. Not quite there yet though. Meanwhile, Huggie just enjoying the 3 TC boom as breakfast finally clicks up. His breakfast able to survive here. As Huggie is now getting chain barding armor. I'm not really using any god bonuses right now. Would have loved to see some sword on sword action. Cheap swords versus faster attacking swords. This knight will simply run past here as well. Something that Huggie has been doing quite a bit this game. Just passing. But I do think that Huggie needs to be careful not to get walled in here with his main army. Looks like that will happen. As this villager will need to... And it does double tap each wall piece. So the knights now cannot get in. So breakfast now still needs to deal with a big army in his base. But can simply wait until Castle Age now and not have a lot more reinforcements arrive, as Huggie is now even going for Fervor. As he wants to collect all the relics. Does he see all the relics? He does see the one over here. He's going for the one over here. And I think that are the final 2 relics. Huggie does see the remaining 2 relics. So potentially thinking about the relic victory countdown. Not sure if I'm the biggest fan of the monastery placement for that, but I think he is ahead far enough where he can do something like that. Will need to use his knights though against the skirms. Skirms, just regular skirmishers, no elite skirms. And we'll need to snipe the pikemen as Huggie is losing all of his crossbows here. That is not a great fight, but like I said, the reinforcements simply could not get in. Now that the reinforcements arrive, skirmishers will need to run. Pikemen though will potentially scare away the knights if Huggie is paying attention at least. Mangonels are rolling forward. Looks like Breakfast is doing a good job of holding. But is forced to play on 1 TC only for now. As Huggie will have some friendly fire kills there. 3 of them to be exact over those 2 Mangonels. And suddenly it is 17 to 8 army, but Huggie is the one clicking up to the Imperial Age first there. And bringing in the relics one by one. Final relic still needs to be collected though. I think that monk over here will get there eventually. As we are now finally going for a castle. Not seeing any more barracks added in yet. Would love to see that. Eco-wise, Huggie, and there we go. More barracks, so we are getting long swords. We are going into the cheap swords. As Breakfast army of skirms and pikes will not stand a chance against the long swordsmen. Especially if Huggie gets the castle tax where they produce faster. I would also not be surprised if Huggie just wants to... What? Petards? That's not what I expected at all. But apparently Huggie wants a few petards to deal with the walls here first. I mean, he does have the mangonels here. Just 1 petard. As Huggie is about to reach the Imperial Age. Breakfast does want to place a castle of his own here, but might want to rethink that position once he sees Huggie is in Imperial Age, and also Huggie collected all the relics and Breakfast taps out, gives Huggie the game 1 victory. And Huggie playing it really well with the gods. 700 relic gold, but overall has so much more rest collected. And I think the Imperial timing is what did it there for Breakfast to tap out, realizing that he simply could not compete with that. We will go back to the draft here, and that was Huggie's number 1 pick. So Breakfast definitely has the chance there to respond. But let's see what Breakfast can do next, as we will go into game number 2. Which will be on Amazon Aftermath. And it will be the Malians there for Breakfast, so not his number 1 pick, and it will be the Tatars for Huggie. As we have Huggie immediately going for Loom, is adding in 2 houses this time, no instant barracks. This time it's Breakfast with the instant barracks. And with the Malians you also have the wood for a house, so no need to worry about that. Huggie will go for the top workshop with his scout, while Breakfast went to the middle workshop. And Huggie has a villager there. There is no contesting yet for the bottom one, but I do see a villager for Breakfast going that way. So far it is 2 workshops versus 1, given that the villager on the bottom gets it. And there we go. And it is indeed the Great British E-off here. As we will have Huggie Scout now joining the party. Huggie stealing some of Breakfast's sheep. Huggie trying to pull out all the strings here to get the advantage. There is another one even coming. Huggie though, only 2 houses, still no barracks. As the first militia is out. Not a great fight there for Huggie, taking the downhill hits. And I think Huggie did see the militia. And Huggie could potentially hold on to this workshop a little longer, but will eventually simply need to run away. There is still no barracks. Barracks is being built though, but quite late. As we have some javelinas under the TC for Huggie, will need to ungarrison his villagers, is potentially looking over here. Trying to get some more, but I think that the villager here is both blocking the boar to hit, but also blocking the quick wall attempt to de-aggro the boar, and there we go. Not even trying to de-aggro it, simply wanting to run home with it. There we go, de-aggroing it. In the meantime, no real stuff happening on the workshops, but Huggie is trying to pull in a lot of the ores around the workshops. Saying that if I cannot have the workshops themselves, I at least want to have the food advantage. And on all the on all the workshop sites, the boars did spawn, maybe not on top per se, but on the other two sides, all the boars spawned on Huggie's side. And as I say that, look at that, 4 being pulled at the same time by one villager. Let's see if she can actually make it home. 16 HP left. There is a militia there to help as well to block. Militia, of course, is a little bit faster than a villager, so we'll need to stop every once in a while, but you also need to be careful for the javelinas not to lose the line of sight there. And it looks like that the villager will bring in 4 at the same time, and that is indeed some Rage Forest experience, or at least Black Forest experience. As there are now 4 underneath the TC for breakfast. Very, very nicely done. As we have a weak militia there for Huggie. Going home, potentially healing him in the TC. Also, still 11 llamas for Huggie. Of course, not really as good as having the 4 javelinas, which collect a lot faster. And Huggie decides, I don't want to mess with luring them all the time. So I'll just simply mill it. I need the mill anyways. Neither player has gone for a dock yet. But then also neither player really going for a woodline breakfast, just going for one now. I think the workshops did provide quite a bit of wood, at least for the early game. As we have 9 militias out on the field. Haven't really seen a lot from them. I think breakfast is over here waiting to get a group going before going to try to reclaim the bottom workshop. The middle workshop, though, has been largely uncontested. And on top, of course, there are a few villagers here trying to at least get the food out of the javelinas that are over there. I think Huggie did notice this, can take the fight, but will surely lose it. Cannot even get a one-off breakfast militia. And suddenly it's looking very, very solid for breakfast. As we do indeed have the weak militia healing in the TC. That is a very nice addition there for Huggie. As breakfast now once again bringing in a few javelinas there. And I'm quite sure that this villager will make it home safely as well. And that is right about the time where all the other javelinas have run out. So let's just send 14 villagers to build a house. We are not housed, but sure. But at least that gives them something to do. We'll need to be careful to not lose a villager there. And breakfast will garrison. Not losing a villager just yet. In the meantime, though, Huggie did try to wall off the top side there. And does have the villagers to do it, so we'll need to bring home this villager, though. Or could potentially be used to do some annoying, sneaky stuff. And once again, a lot of early... Ooh, that is still open. And breakfast says thank you very much and simply runs in. And that is an issue for Huggie. We'll lose this villager. Will not lose the villager. I did not see that the militia was also very low on HP, as breakfast now runs away. It's taking maybe not the greatest of fight, where Huggie's villagers are still on the hill. Huggie now brings his own militia as reinforcements. And there are some low HP villagers in there, one of them going down, the other one standing right there on 1 HP. But Huggie seems to be holding on here. And this could have definitely been prevented with simply building this piece of wall. Yes. I think Huggie realizes that he needs to build that wall, but simply can't because there's too many militia. And breakfast is now the first one to click up, with Huggie nowhere near clicking up. Huggie, though, is adding in some fishing ships, trying his own fish boom. But he will need to be continuously investing in the militia, as he has a few idle villagers here that he will need to send to the top to reinforce, as Huggie is about to lose the top workshop. So 3 workshops in favor of breakfast. And we can see that in the rest collected difference as well. 2,500 resources ahead for breakfast. As the mill slowly begins to fall. And it is double barracks here for breakfast even. Because the Malians will have more pierce armor in the feudal age. Not something that will really come into play just yet. But we do see the men-at-arms upgrade coming in instantly. Huggie did send a few militia to the bottom workshop, potentially will stay under his control a bit longer. Huggie, trying to wall, did manage to at least get the wall piece partially built, so no reinforcements can come. Which means that Huggie will also reclaim the top workshop. Definitely came at a huge loss, as we have a 10-0 eco KD in favor of breakfast. And breakfast now going for some walls of his own here. Also walls in the middle. And these are stone walls, so definitely not as easily to break through as these palisades from Huggie, who still has not clicked up. And breakfast simply decides full sword action. I don't see ranged buildings anywhere. And breaking through here for breakfast, Huggie will need to run with these villagers. These villagers simply cannot take this fight. Huggie, though, has the resources to click up, but I don't think he has anything against the 18 men-at-arms now on the field for breakfast. Huggie decided to spend more resources on staying in the Dark Age to defend. Will click up, still has some llamas left as well, but has no more control over the workshops. And I think that will spiral out of control really, really fast. We will get the market here as well. And I think breakfast will simply sell a bit of his wood, buy a bit of food, and try to get up to the castle age here. There's not a lot of aggression here for breakfast, trying to actually get into Huggie's eco, but I think the damage has been done with killing 14 villagers who were trying to defend this top workshop over here. As the walls will slowly but surely be completed. Don't think there is enough stone to complete the wall here fully, though, with only 10 stone. Meanwhile, though, market has completed, so I assume we will soon see some market abuse there to click up, especially with 800 wood in the bank. No dock, and Huggie reaches the feudal age. 6 militia, soon to be men-at-arms, is going for a range once again. And let's see if the range addition will be on time, as breakfast decides I see feudal age, so I will send my 35 men-at-arms forward. Let's see how you like that. As we do see some stone buying, that is potentially to finish the wall there, but I think with Castle Age on the way as well for breakfast, I don't think we will even see Castle Age come in, as we have 31 swords on the field for breakfast. And 0 for Huggie. Huggie though has quite a few archers in queue. Only 1 on the field or in the range for now. And I think breakfast is kind of holding off here. Wanting to wait for Castle Age, wanting to wait for the sword upgrades, as we now see arson as well. Definitely looking very, very grim here for Huggie. And Huggie decides that he has seen enough and will give breakfast the win in game number 2. While it was looking very good for Huggie in game number 1, rest collected here almost double in favor of breakfast. So the Tatars did not pay off for Huggie, although the Tatars was maybe not the earliest pick there for Huggie as well, as that was his last pick. And Malians was a relatively high pick for breakfast. So we will go to the final map that is available for these players here, as it is Quick Mats. Let's see if Huggie can pull it back, or if breakfast will be victorious here. As it will be the Lithuanians for breakfast and the Wu for Huggie. So both players using their highest available pick for the final game here. As Huggie immediately captures 3 workshops. Breakfast will reclaim 1. Breakfast with a EC going down already. Don't think Huggie realizes how close breakfast is though. And breakfast also doesn't realize how close Huggie is. As Huggie instantly is going for the barracks. With the Wu, you get some food from that as well. Maybe not the biggest bonus. It is essentially Nomad Empty Explorer. There will always be 5 workshops on the outside. Like so. And then 1 in the center of the map. But I can definitely see breakfast simply walling off Huggie, like with a wall here, with a wall here. And Huggie can of course expand to the back, but that will make it quite difficult for him to get control of the workshops, and you definitely want control of the workshops. Keep in mind though, Huggie still did not see, but did see the villager, and there is no loom on this villager. So villager will need to run. Villager apparently only needed to quick wall. Huggie does not know about the TC, will know about the TC right now. And that is a very, very close TC. But don't think it is in range, so otherwise it would have been a restart. It is not in range by one tile. But that will be very annoying for the players, as they cannot really expand towards each other, of course. Huggie immediately pulling in that boar. Huggie also doing very well in terms of workshop collection. And Breakfast showing his 2k elo right there with what does your Civ have in chat. And Huggie pulling the even more elo big brain question, saying in what way, knowing full well he is the woo. But I think the biggest mistake here for Breakfast is opening with the dock and not with the barracks like Huggie did, because as we can see, Huggie has control of all of the workshops, and Huggie responds with the Civ bonuses. Of course, infantry regenerates, some food for military production buildings, and Breakfast responding with pay to win, I think. Although I believe that the Lithuanians, well, I'm not sure if that is still the case, but they used to be a DLC Civ. And Huggie is falling behind in terms of eco units, is definitely not falling behind in terms of res collected though, due to the workshops. And Huggie is now adding in a dock of his own, so will eventually catch up in terms of eco numbers as well. And having a few boars brought in, also not the worst. And maybe it is a big loss that the map is not named No Math. That should be brought up with, I think, Huggie as well. I think Huggie was the one who came up with this name. Could be either John Perkins as well. Maybe just ping them in the practice squad. Especially Huggie. Ping Huggie. Huggie always wants to be pinged. As Breakfast finally has his first workshop, it's also finally going for Loom. But Huggie is still relatively far behind in terms of eco. That is mainly the fishing ships here for Breakfast. But still, Huggie is not in a very bad position, as he will reclaim one of the workshops. But will lose... Oh no, we'll hold on. Of course, Huggie has the defender's advantage there with the barracks being right next to the workshop. And we once again see a lot of Dark Age investment here for both players on the militia. Huggie already with 9. We now also have some villager fighting going on. And Huggie will be able to safely pull this one to the TC. Will kill the militia with that as well. And this is a dangerous mining camp for Breakfast, who has no gold income. Because he simply does not have the workshop control. And I think that all came down to adding this dock first instead of adding the barracks. And Huggie wisely simply waiting a bit for his militia to get a sizable numbers advantage. And I think we will see Breakfast struggle here when Huggie is in the feudal age. Breakfast decides he does not want to be housed for a while, so let's see. Let's see what Breakfast can pull out though, if he has anything left in the tank, as Huggie still controls all of the workshops, although he will lose control of this one when the militia dies. Gold villagers though are still safe. Huggie's still not really doing anything here. But Huggie is about to reach the feudal age. Breakfast nowhere near feudal age. And instant man-at-arms upgrade. Will we see any extra buildings? Yes, we will. It will be a tower. And I don't think that the tower is ranged by the TC. But it will be annoying with the... Ooh, does Breakfast see the tower? Breakfast does see the tower now. We'll need to delete the farm. And Huggie also in on the gold, and that is disaster for Breakfast. That is where he is getting his gold. He does not realize, or at least decides to simply let the villagers die if he has realized. And Breakfast decides to go for the Lithuanian douche when a tower is on his face. I'm not sure if this is the correct play here, but definitely one of the plays of all time. TC will go up. So at least that is working in his favor. But Huggie has 10 villagers in the TC. He has 3 villagers in the tower. And I think it is evident by the fact that Huggie's TC is still on full HP and Breakfast's TC is already down to half of it. That Breakfast will probably tap out once his TC goes down, as Huggie will now start to attack the barracks. No, will not. He will try to reclaim this trade workshop, I think. I think he saw the dead deer over here and decided, let's kill the eco that is not near the TC, as Huggie is now even repairing his TC. Has quite a bit of wood in the bank, so he's very happy to do so. Breakfast though, repairing as well, but his wood count is only coming in from what he can gather. His food though, well, fishing ships definitely will have enough food to click up relatively soon. At least if he doesn't keep producing militia. I think he will have to keep producing militia though. Could potentially send a few militia out here and there to try to recapture some of these workshops. The villagers over here also gone. And Huggie with a sizable army of 13 men-at-arms. Breakfast will soon eject his TC and will not have the resources to keep repairing, and calls the GG well played. So Huggie taking it in the end. With only 18 men-at-arms. But like I said, I think it came down to Breakfast placing the dock instead of the barracks as his first building. I think the early control of the workshops is such a big factor. And we can see that in the reds collected as well. Like the game lasted 19 minutes and there's 2,000 more res collected, and it is pay to win indeed for Huggie. As Huggie takes it over the Lithuanians. Inkas not being used, Khmer not being used. But overall, very, very fun set to watch. And we have more coming up. Up next, we will have EmperorNoob and Game 14. And afterwards, we will have Forteraiger versus Duhak. But for now, I will quickly refill my water bottle and set up everything for the next game. And then I'll be back. All right. Oh, wait, wrong scene. We are here. We are back. We will have EmperorNoob versus Game 14. This is some Division 5 action. As we will start it off on Wangshuang Mountain Madness, and perhaps we will see the same maps or map afterwards. As we will have Quick Mats and Amazon Aftermath for these players' respective home maps as well. The draft though is looking relatively different than the other one that we saw before. Although we will still have the Wu as EmperorNoob's #1 pick. Georgians, Incas and Italians as well. And Game 14 with the Huns, with the Wei, the Burgundians and the Ethiopians. And Magyars, Mongols, Georgians, Spanish, Britons and Teutons are all banned. I think Spanish definitely the ban there for the Nomad map. So let's jump in, let's see what these players can come up with here, as we will have Wangshuang Mountain Madness, the 2TC start here for our players. No Lithuanian picks. So no extra food, as will have some houses being built here for EmperorNoob, who is playing in the teal as the Incas. And I will also switch the players around here, as this makes a lot more sense, as we will have Kane 14 in the red playing as the Burgundians. And EmperorNoob here not really making a play yet for the workshop on the bottom. Did claim the workshop on top with his Champy Scout. Kane decides to take the bottom one, and the workshop in the middle still not being taken for EmperorNoob. Definitely a stressful map, as there is a lot going on early game with the 2 TCs and then also the double workshop that you want to contest in the middle, the one that you have between your TCs that EmperorNoob is now claiming for himself. As we will have a settlement here on the wood line. There's no stone here nearby, so that is maybe a bit unfortunate. I think a settlement over here could also go really hard. With the berries, with the gold, and of course the big wood line. But for now, players are choosing to play it quite relaxed. We have seen a lot of villager fighting in the higher divisions. But the lower divisions definitely maybe not as much vill fighting. But that usually leads to bigger fights in Castle Age. Well, let's see what these players decide to go for. So far, there is a sneak here. There is a Champy that at least captured the workshop there. So it's now 3 workshops to 1 in favor of EmperorNoob. Of course, Burgundians could technically get the eco upgrades as well. We don't see that yet. Although I think we're still struggling with the food income for the 2 TCs, as Kane decides to send his scout away, and thus the Champy can recapture the workshop as well. Although the scout now finally... Oh wait, the scout is not stopping. The scout is simply passing by. I think EmperorNoob is paying some attention to this, and we can see him pulling ahead there as well. At least for a little bit. As Kane decides to reclaim the workshop between his TCs, has reclaimed the workshop on top as well. The scout here is simply passing along. Perhaps wants to do the same thing here to EmperorNoob, and will do so by claiming the middle workshop. 2 Champies though defending the bottom one. And that will... Oh, I think EmperorNoob is paying attention here. He is not. He is. But will lose the workshop for a short while, as Kane is a bit too far away. And I think it was a bit of a misclick, but I think one of the Champies will recapture the middle one, and then the one on the top is still undefended. As we will have Feudal Age coming in first here for our Burgundian player. Will need to remember the second TC to make villagers. Doesn't have the food for it just yet. But EmperorNoob only now getting Loom. That feels quite late. Usually on 2 TC starts you want that relatively early. As we still don't have scouted where the gold is for EmperorNoob, at least not on that side. We do see this gold over here. We do see that there is some gold over here as well. But it looks like we are gearing up to 2 barracks Champy production here. And we don't see any barracks just yet for the Burgundian player here, who will need to start thinking about military relatively soon, as we have a third barracks now. And a settlement very nicely on the gold there as well. No villagers on gold though, but with the workshop control, not the biggest of problem early on. First champions are being produced. We are getting wheelbarrow as well now, even for the Burgundians. We did get the eco upgrades as well, and we see EmperorNoob in the feudal age starting to pump out some military. And it is market blacksmith for the Burgundians. Definitely the gold is there. Food could be there as well. If we do a little bit of market use and then we click up to the castle age, the question will be, as we now finally get a barracks, can we hold on long enough, as the champions are now upgraded to the champy runner, as EmperorNoob is idling the TC quite a bit. I think Game 14 also idling his TC. Is going up to the castle age, of course, but needs to remember the other TC as well. We'll have the food to produce some villagers. So we are placing some house walls around the gold here and going for double stable. So wants to potentially go for some knights. Let's see if that decision pays off, as we finally have some action going on from the champions here. I have not scouted where the eco is yet, as the spearman here will deal with the scout who reclaimed the workshop. Rest collected, almost 1,000 ahead for the Burgundians though, which feels weird given that EmperorNoob had control for quite a long time. But I think Burgundian eco upgrades is not something that should be underestimated, as the champions will now gain control. Last workshop that was under control, and we immediately see the cavalier upgrade. 3 knights in queue as well. No armor upgrades yet, but I think the champions will struggle with the knights regardless. Although I think the villagers will struggle with the champions over here, as there is one villager that goes down. Second one. Ooh, as we have 2 champions still on stand ground. And Castle Age now on the way for the Inca player as well. And Huggie missing his own set. Classic. Well, you were pinged, so if you would actually pay attention to your pings for once, then maybe you should not have missed your set. Although EmperorNoob, even though he is not in the Castle Age just yet, is doing a great job of just harassing, of idling the eco. Cavaliers are here, will deal with the champions, and we can see that they deal with the champions quite effectively. Could potentially find quite some damage there on the wood line as counter damage. As the champions are now in on the gold. Gold miners over here are safe though, they are nicely walled. And the cavalier here under the TC will find some more value. We do know about the wood line, but we go for the trade workshop here first. And well, it is looking somewhat rough. I don't think it's over yet. We still have the eco lead. We still have control of at least 2 workshops. But as we can see, the Burgundians will have the stone for a castle. And I think that castle placement could potentially... This is, I don't think, the place to make the settlement. I think placing it a bit further back. Or have a bit more army here. But... Castle coming up relatively defensively. As we will have more cavaliers. Cavaliers over here still doing quite some damage. But now that there are pikemen on the field, I think we need to start thinking about some other units than cavalry. Or perhaps start thinking about the eco, or not the eco upgrades, the armor upgrades, as the champions are still being annoying. They did take care of the lumber camp over there as well. And more cavaliers coming forward. Pikemen, though, are there to defend. Villagers could be sent back to work, I think. And I also think that if we send a few cavaliers here to the wood line, instead of just one, that could be a major issue for EmperorNoob. As we now have a third TC coming down. Protecting the gold. Cavaliers will still deal with units one by one quite well. As we now have a monastery trying to maybe get some conversions. And more barracks in the back here for EmperorNoob as well. Who still has the rest collected lead. Even with all the pressure from the cavalier. And quite a few farms here and there for both players now. Of course, the cavaliers are a bit more food heavy than the champions. And we do see some more stone being bought here for Kame. I could potentially drop a castle on the bottom workshop. And that is a very forward castle. That will deny the gold. Deny this barracks. I'm not sure though if the 5 cavalier with how weak they are enough to deal with all the pikemen here. Castle temporarily denied because the units were standing on top. Villagers will need to be sent back. Villagers could potentially go down. Although the TC is garrisoned. 10 cavalier on the field. And most of the pikemen will fall to the TC or simply run away. Although not before killing some of these cavalier. And let's see if we retry to do that castle drop again, or if we simply remove that foundation. Although in the meantime, we have more raids that have gone unnoticed. And this is definitely one of the reasons why this map is called Mountain Madness. And we do have the stone for a castle for the Inca player as well. Would love to see a defensive castle there as well. As resources here and eco setup for the Burgundians looking more and more like we want to go imp, and EmperorNoob is now the one who decides I want to drop a castle of my own, although sees the castle foundation there. Is thinking about it. But I think with the pikemen denying the castle for now, could potentially get his castle up first. There's still a few sheeps back here. I am not sure if it's the correct call here for game to send all his villagers out. Castle though at 80%. Only 65 for EmperorNoob. Pikeman poking. Castle though will go up. Castle for EmperorNoob goes up as well though. We'll need to garrison everything. And no petards for either player just yet. So far we are content with simply poking the castle. And petards here for EmperorNoob, and I think that will be the deciding factor here. As the petard though will need to actually do something. Instead of just standing there menacingly. And this might actually give the idea of petards to Kane as well, although he is not producing them just yet. Also not producing them out of the other castle. He is producing Coustelier there. But we are going to the Imperial Age. This is the Imperial Age TC. Will not be denied by the castle. We now have two petards standing there. Maybe having a nice conversation about how their days are going. How heavy these barrels are that they are carrying. And decided that they have seen enough of the barrels. And will make short work of themselves. And Imperial Age about to hit. There is a ram here as well that could be used to ram down the castle. Imperial Age on the way as well for EmperorNoob, who has a ram party of his own about to head out. Rams filled with champies, filled with pikemen. Currently only one on the front. I think you definitely want to send them all in together. But perhaps these are going to the bottom here. Not sure if that is the correct play. I think you would want them all on top, but as long as the Coustelier don't hop out, we can definitely make short work of the castle. But Coustelier hop out, they notice, and the champions on their own will melt to the Coustelier. Let's see, the rams are on the bottom side now. No, wait, still the top side, never mind. Units will need to hop out here to protect the rams. Rams all go down, and I think this ram push is not really what we wanted. Castle repaired to full HP. Petards still chilling right next to the castle. And I think the castle here for EmperorNoob will fall, and he will be in a rough position. Definitely was looking quite good for him there early on. And we still have two petards. And the villager is now boxing against the castle. Finally ready to be pulled away. EmperorNoob still ahead in res collected, but I think he is just not there yet in terms of his military production. Is quite low on the gold, only has 4 on gold as well. But I think going full pikeman is definitely the correct play here, since you're only seeing your opponent going for cavalry. And here we see halberdier coming in, we see elite champions coming in as well. As we have a trebuchet now starting to attack the barracks, slowly but surely moving in, encroaching on EmperorNoob's territory. We have chemistry on the way for EmperorNoob as well. Could then go for bombard cannons, of course. As the Coustelier have decided to make a move. And the whole wood line here for EmperorNoob vanishes. Eco KD though is relatively close with 46 to 44. And the Coustelier for now fall back. We are waiting on some more siege to start the push on the bottom as well. But we have 100 villagers versus 59. And definitely looking more and more like the Burgundians here will be victorious. Although, pushes though not really happening. We are really slowing down the push. There is not really one push going. We are slowly taking out some buildings in the front, but I think every time we do a raid, we simply fall back afterwards. That gives the opponent some time to remake some army, and as we can see, army numbers are now in favor of EmperorNoob. Villagers though are not. We are 40 villagers behind. We are also, I think that is partly because of the 2 TCs versus now 4 TCs. Or is it 3? No, never mind, it's 3 TCs. I got the icon from the workshop and the castle and everything there mixed up. So 3 TCs versus only the 2 from EmperorNoob. We do have a trap out and we will need to start doing something though. I saw Huggie in chat asking for the Kamayuk, and there they are. Also getting conscription, getting more Kamayuk. No bombard cannons yet, but we are going for hand cannoneers. And Coustelier once again will run in. Kamayuk will do great against Coustelier, but will need bigger numbers there. And once again we push in, we kill something and we fall back. As we now have the hand cannoneers here up front. And that, I think, will be the end for the Inca player here, as they usually struggle against gunpowder units. And as we can see here, everything simply melts. There is a few cav archers in there as well, for good measure. One of the traps survives and will take out the TC eventually. We will see elite Kamayuk here as we decide one more time to get a ram push going, but I think it's simply too late with the Coustelier here. Even though they are not elite, I think they will, especially with the mangonel there, deal with the rams before they can even put a dent into the castle. And game 14 came to play indeed. As we are now pushing on both sides. We'll need to get these traps onto the castle though. As the resources for EmperorNoob, definitely quite a lot in the bank, but we'll need to add more production buildings. Definitely want to produce them in the back, as we one trap and I think 14 Kamayuk in queue there. And now a forward castle, monastery going down, and cannoneers blocking foundations of buildings. Thanks Nili. And skirm's definitely the correct choice against the hand cannoneers, but not if we send them in one by one. And I'm not really sure at this point what EmperorNoob as the Incas can do to deal with everything that the Burgundians throw at them. Although we still have quite a bit of res in the bank to maybe get something going. I think our eco at 55 villagers against now 144 villagers as Elite Coustelier is coming in as well. Simply not really enough to really make anything happen, even with control of the trade workshops. And Game 14 does know that there is some eco down here as well. We'll go for that now. We're getting Burgundian vineyards. And with 64 farms, that is definitely not a bad choice. Especially since we are pop capped, we can simply put all our excess res into upgrades for our units. Would like to see some more siege though, as we have a bombard cannon and a trap chilling at home here. And once again we are trying the ram push here for EmperorNoob. This time though there is not really a lot of cavalry around, so that could be something that could start a comeback. But we are 200 versus 100 population. And we are adding in forward production buildings here, as the Coustelier now will deal with the skirms quite effectively. Trap has started trapping down the castle. Bombard. No, it's not the castle. It's either the monastery or the trebuchet that it's aiming at. The traps are notoriously bad at shooting things. As the Coustelier on the bottom here deal with a lot of the eco here on the bottom. There are a few villagers here and there scattered out and about. But I think that the game from this point is over. And as I say that, the ramp push has happened once again. This time I think it will be successful though. No reinforcements coming because the Burgundians are pop capped. Castle will fall. And this time Elite Kameyuk will do something. Let's see if it will be enough though, as we have lost 3/4 of the map. Coustelier missing the mining villagers by 1 tile. But I think dropping down to below 30 villagers, definitely in this situation, not really a position you would want to be in. And I can hear Zark saying something about the Incas being very strong, definitely wanting to play on. But I think Zark should realize in this situation that even they would call it. As we have a few units trying to find some more eco, but I think we simply need to back our traps, attack move in to the TC and just send it. As somehow EmperorNoob has managed to field 62 army still. Also getting fabric shields. And definitely doing some eco damage here. Although if we look at the rest for the Burgundians, should not be too worried about losing eco. Would even make the suggestion that losing eco in this situation is favorable to them, as we can replenish our eco forever. And the Inca player here simply cannot. As the traps have rolled forward, Coustelier are coming forward as well. And the gunpowder makes a very short work of the army here. Although the Elite Kameyuks, the final stand for EmperorNoob here is what it feels like. Gunpowder behind. Cousteliers though are falling. But the gunpowder behind I think is simply too much. 35 pop now for EmperorNoob. We still have some raids going on top. But 17 villagers, no TC is going for a TC on the bottom. Not sure where the villagers are coming from that are going to place that TC. I don't really see any villagers around here. And villagers from the top definitely should not want to run through this chokehold with the castle. As the rams are still continuing to ram down buildings. More castles. Trebuchets trapping down. And GG, well played, called by EmperorNoob. And game 14 will take game number 1. As we will have the Burgundians' 3rd pick for game 14. And the Incas also 3rd pick for EmperorNoob. So no real draft advantage there for the players. But perhaps game number 2 will be different. As I will quickly go over the stats before we hop into game number 2. You can see the military advantage was there, the economy advantage was there as well. And I think EmperorNoob had a nice plan early on with the feudal aggression, but simply could not keep up with the raids from the Cavalier that came produced relentlessly. As our next map will be Quick Mats. And it will be the Huns and it will be the Wu. So both players using their first Civ pick for what could be the final game of the set if game 14 wins it. But of course, EmperorNoob could also do a reverse sweep if he were to win this game and the next one. And 3 villagers on the TC here immediately for the Hun player, who will now get control of 1 workshop. 1 villager on the TC here for EmperorNoob, who is going for a dock immediately. Of course, the Huns don't have the rest for that. Although I do have to say, and definitely a sick TC spot with the random fish there. But like I said in the earlier set, the dock is, I think, not the play. We definitely want the barracks opening to get the militia out on the field, to get control of all of the workshops. So far though, 2 workshops under control of EmperorNoob. And only 1, and that is the middle one, under control of our Hunnic player, who will now have the Hunnic horse. So could simply shift queue the horse to all the workshops like so. And it looks like that is indeed what happened. And since there is no villager present at the workshops, no militia present either, the Huns here will definitely be able to at least get control of them for now. As the fishing villager here has been sent home as well. as we have all 4 villagers chopping wood. And not really making an attempt to make a play for the workshops. I think that might be a big mistake here for EmperorNoob. I think we definitely want to at least do something with the workshops. As we have a few villagers here on wood, we have a few on there. We are bringing in our first boar for the hunts. A very nice garrison there. And I agree that this is why I would pick hunts on this map, but I still think that like a barracks opening is so much better. And we don't have Vil fighting. We are thinking about it though. No loom for either player. EmperorNoob does not know about the TC. Will know about it now as EmperorNoob loses a villager and laughs about it. As Kame 14 also laughs about it. We are getting loom. Villager that brought in the boar survives as well. And we can see in the rest collected, it is already starting to really spiral out of control. We are floating 500 wood though, so I would not mind if the Huns here send a villager out to the dock or to the shoreline to get a dock going at least. And it definitely feels like we're dead, but this is definitely not over yet. I think the Wu still could pull off some crazy things here. We'll need a few more on wood to keep the fish production going though. Usually 5 on wood should be enough. As we now get a dock down as well for the hunts. We're always notoriously late with the dock. And immediately 5 fishing ships in queue. Not a terrible location either with these fish. But of course usually the middle, or not the middle, the side areas are where the real fishing parties should be at. As we are now adding in a mining camp. Definitely the second building, as we are getting really close to clicking up here. And we will make our way to the feudal age after the villager is produced. EmperorNoob though not too far off with 800 food in the bank. Although we have 1,000 more rest collected for the hunts. So it is definitely an uphill battle if we are playing the Wu. We are getting another boar in as well. We're Noob not really bringing in a lot of boars. And as I'm saying that, potentially this villager is going out for the boar. And is getting control of one of the workshops as well. No, we're just going out to get control of the workshop. Not really going for the boar there. And both players up to the feudal age. No barracks yet for either player. But I think it will be fast castle here for the Huns. Who don't have a mill yet, so we might see a panic mill dropping relatively soon when we reach the feudal age. Here we go, villagers go for the blacksmith. And there is the mill built with the 2 gold villagers. As we are going out for a mining camp and a lumber camp as well for the Wu. Who did get a mill. But simply don't have the wood to make the blacksmith or the market. And as we see some villagers here come forward, could potentially also think about capturing the trade workshop. We first are building a house. There is 1 militia out. That is recapturing some of the workshops. Middle workshop is now under control of EmperorNoob. Could see potentially a tower. But we are up to the castle age for the hunts. And there is the tower. We do have the stone for another tower. But I think the castle age timing here will simply be too much. We are getting fletching as well. I think it will be cav archers. Would be weird if it was anything else with the hunts. Of course, keep in mind that the tower being here does not mean that we keep control of the trade workshops. If units from the opponent decide to run to the trade workshop. We now have the second range coming up. Wood count not really there for cav archers just yet, but with 16 on wood, that should not be a problem. We did get the market. I don't see a blacksmith yet, so also no fletching on these towers. As we are buying and selling some stuff at the market. We are getting cav archers on the field. We are getting bodkin arrow. But what we are not doing is getting control back of our workshops. Except for this one. And the Honic horse is roaming around. I think that has been put to auto scout. We are going for a university as well. And these 2 cav archers should definitely just get control of some of these workshops. Especially if we are waiting on a bigger number mass. And that is definitely a worthwhile thing to do while we wait. As EmperorNoob is now the one to click up to the castle age. He's getting fletching as well. He's got double bit X. And here we go. Let's see what we can see. Let's see what damage we can do with these cav archers, as there is a tower going up on the stone. The wood line though is still relatively safe. No ballistics yet, but nonetheless 2 villagers down. Third one could go down as well. 3 villagers down, not a bad trade there. And a siege workshop. Would like to see that maybe a bit more over here. Siege is, of course, notoriously slow. Cav archers, though, could find some damage there on the golds. And we're getting close before we shoot. That is nice. Woodline villagers needs to run as well. But we did see the TC, and we decide to back off. As we are getting arson. And we're going for a stable as well. Stable might not be the best play here, but Jean Swordsman could definitely do something. As we are still quite far behind in Rest Collected. That also comes down to simply having 10 less eco units. As we are going for a mangonel, I would not have minded a ram either with the towers. But we are still not really thinking about the workshops. A lot of these cav archers could have simply captured the workshops back. Put us in a very big advantage there. But once again, we are at the gold. And if there is no reaction, we will kill some villagers. Ballistics is in, so villagers running will need to do some dodging as well. Mangonel on the hill will do some extra damage. Villagers cannot repair with the cav archers here. And Mangonel will need to be repaired. Cav archers wanted to be grouped up, but decided to go against it. We did get some Hagwon cavalry out on the field. Mangonel will need to be repaired again. And I think we want to wait for 1 or 2 more Hagwon before we attack here, especially if we don't have the armor, if we don't have bloodlines. But we do snipe the Mangonel. That is definitely delaying the push here for the Huns, as we have a ram now coming out. And some Giant Swordsman looping around as well. There is now a second TC for the Huns. Giant Swordsman will fall, but not before killing the outpost villager. Woodlines, though, are still denied. We are getting a university for something, at least. Not sure why we need the university. But I think the Cav Archer number with 23, 3 more in queue, is something that the Wu will start to struggle with here. Although the Giant Swordsman, if they can get in close, will do great against the Cav Archers. Cav Archers still have no bloodlines. And without control of these workshops, EmperorNoob can still stay in the game even though he is behind. When his eco is not as efficient, the workshops are what's saving him. And so are these towers. These towers make it very annoying for the Huns to start the push. But we do have a TC now on stone. We are getting a third TC up on a gold as well. As we finally have control over another workshop. But these rams will definitely make short work of the towers. And that means that the wood line is vulnerable as well, but tower going up on the wood line. And I would not mind just simply using these cav archers, try to get some damage on the wood line instead of trying to take down the tower. But tower goes down. And we can now see that there is a tower on the wood line. House is being deleted. Don't think 3 Giant Swordsmen here is enough. We did get guard tower upgrade. That is why we got the university, as we are now ramming down houses. That means that EmperorNoob is housed. At least temporarily. As the Giant Swordsman falls. The ram still ramming down more houses being built in the back. Guard tower, though, not something I think that the ram can push if there is a TC nearby. Still the workshop over here, not in control of the Huns. now has doubled the eco. Double the villagers, not double the fishing ships. And 1 TC for the Wu and 3 TCs for the Huns. And I think it's simply as we finally start to get control of some of these workshops. But I think that running these cav archers around trying to find where the eco is, definitely what we want to do there. So we are starting to place down some farms. Could potentially start thinking about the Imperial Age as well. The gold is there. Food, not really. I think part of that is simply not having the workshop control yet. So we did get the armor for our A1 cavalry. But no real push going for the Wu, as the cav archers are starting to use their mobility once again. We are trying to attack on 2 fronts at the same time, killing some villagers on the gold, killing a villager or 2 on the stone as well. As Bloodlines now comes in. And suddenly it is a lot more workshop control for the Huns, although not really protected workshop control. And these giant swordsmen will do great against the cav archers as long as they can get in close. As we now have a forward cast, would love to see that maybe on this side so it actually ranges something important. This, of course, does protect the gold. But it does not range a TC, even with Botkin it will not range. It will somewhat protect the workshop there, and Giant Swordsman under the TC. And see how good they do against pierce damage. As the Giant Swordsman and the Haegwang will take out the workshop, siege workshop that is, not the trade workshop. And the market as well, but there is a castle here coming up for the Hun player who is 1 minute away from the Castle Age, or from the Imperial Age. And I think with that, EmperorNoob's chances in this game are dwindling by the second. He is redocking, so his fish will be a lot more efficient by the looks of it. Also, a few hulks that are dealing with a dock over here, although we did redock here as well. It's a great fishing corner for the Huns, and we are simply waiting for Imperial Age to get the upgrades, to get the traps out, and I think that is when we want to start the push. And Imperial Age is in. We have the mass of cav archers that will deal enough damage to the giant swordsman to shoot them all or kill them in one shot. We are getting bracer. A trebuchet is on the way. We have a monk in the castle as well. And EmperorNoob, still only 1 TC, is just now going for his second TC. We do have some fire archers on the field. But I don't think that these fire archers can deal with the cav archers. As the first trap is out, but it is not being used yet. I think the no trickle trapping does not really apply in this situation. I think you just want to Especially with the Imperial Age advantage, you simply want to start shutting down your opponent's castles. So we now are going for another safety C on the gold. And Imperial Age is on the way as well for EmperorNoob. So he's not completely out of the game, but it is looking very difficult for him as we have Parthian tactics coming in as well. And the castle with Bracer will outrange these fire archers. As we now have 2 traps chilling here. Third trap on the way. Traps are being deployed. There is a relic here hiding behind the castle. I think that is why the monk is there. Another castle here. Spending the gold, we are getting some farming eco set up as well. But I think this castle will fall before we reach the Imperial Age. Of course, for the Wu, we don't use trebuchets, we use traction traps. They are built from siege workshops, so not the worst to lose the castle in terms of that, but definitely losing castles is not something you want. As the traps are being packed up and will be sent forward. Could start trapping down TCs here relatively soon. We'll just have to deal with the towers first. The traps roll forward. Imperial Age is reached. We are getting chainmail armor, second armor for the Jian Swordsman. Producing more Heiguang, producing more Jian Swordsman. The villager sniped as well by the trap. Traps are more accurate when they shoot at buildings, but with towers, definitely not 100% accurate. As the blacksmith now is going down as well. New traps that were produced will need to be deployed. And once again, we lost quite a bit of map control here, as EmperorNoob is getting heavy Heiguang cavalry. As the DC now is being trapped, and I think that castle can be a lot more forward. We simply sent these 44 cav archers forward. I think EmperorNoob simply is completely dead and has nothing against that. I think we are waiting on heavy cav archer to do so. Traps can move a bit more forward as well. As we are roughly in the same position that we were in last game, where we are in such an advantage, but we are not really pushing. Although this time there is not really that eco bank or the resource bank that we had with almost 2,000-3,000 res in the bank. Same goes for Kane, although he of course has not reached 200 pop yet, so is still actively getting upgrades as well, as we have heavy cav archer in, almost fully upgraded, only chemistry missing. We'll need to be a bit careful with these heavy Heiguang cavalry and Jian Swordsmen. But this is the final army from EmperorNoob, and I think once this is dealt with, the GG will be called, and it is indeed GG. Well played being called. Good luck next as well. Always nice to see that. And I think having the Huns here running around with the horse, getting all the workshops set up, came so well for whatever came next. And like I said, I think it was a mistake opening dock. I think you always open with the barracks. But a very, very strong performance here for game 14. Who won with the Huns and Wu lost. So 2-0 in favor of game 14, which will conclude the Division 5 Group A, I believe. Let me quickly double check that. If I can find the spreadsheet, that is. No, it did not. It did not. In that case, no, wait, it was the next set that concluded a group. And the next set will be Forteraiger versus Duhak. That is the set that concluded a group. That will be Division 4 Group A completed. So let's cast the final group stage game from Division 4 Group A. And I will quickly set up everything here. And also, once again, refill my water bottle. I will be right back. All right, I have returned. Not set up everything yet on my side, but We are here to look at the draft, and it looks like Duhak here has randomed his draft, at least the map draft, as the Dutch Blitz will be his home map, and then the rest of his draft is randomed, at least in terms of maps. As for the civs, only randoms humans, so definitely maybe not something that he chose to do. Definitely not a bad civ per se, I would say, on these settings. Although I do think that there are more favorable civs out there. And for Forteraiger, the Wu, once again, we will also see potentially Vikings, Dravidians, or Maya. We are starting it off on quick mats, and we will see if these players will open with a barracks, because that has been, I think, the biggest thing here. Opening with a barracks on quick mats seems to, at least in the higher divisions, be what you want to do. So without further ado, let's hop into game number 1. As we have Duhak in the red playing as the Cumans, the civ that he randomed into, and then in the blue we have Forteraiger playing as the Wu. And immediately one workshop captured. This villager was relatively close by. We are having 2 villagers here building a TC really close to the middle. No TC placement yet for Duhak, though, who has captured 1. Will build a TC there with 1 villager only, and is sending in the second villager, potentially to get control of the workshop first before sending her to build the TC. We are getting more workshop control here for the Wu. Simply sending around a villager to get them. Definitely not a bad choice there. TC will complete a bit earlier here for the Wu player, but once again, no barracks, and we will see a dock. Oh no. But there is also no barracks yet for... Never mind. There is a barracks. There is a barracks. Duhak opening the barracks. Is producing some villagers. And eco-wise, we will get ahead slightly initially. But I think in the long run, it will all pay off if we can get a militia or 2 out on the fields. We currently only control 2 workshops. Definitely could get control of the middle one here relatively fast. I would not mind sending out a villager to get control of the one in the back here, simply to get control. But we don't know where the TC is. We will see a villager here, could potentially. And also seeing that there is a workshop reclaimed so fast, although potentially we did not see the workshop being reclaimed, as it was reclaimed relatively short. But we are walling in the complete workshop here. I'm not sure if this wall off is enough to prevent. And I think there's a hole here even. But we will see the walls. Quite the investment early on. And I believe, yeah, there is a hole. No loom on the villager. We do notice, at least for Forteraiger, we notice. And Duhak has not noticed yet, has noticed now. Villager will need to run. And the militia could simply get some more control. We do have 3 fishing ships, 12 villagers. We are quite far ahead in terms of eco for Forteraiger here. But I think that will start to change here. And no loom yet for the Wu, so that is maybe not the fight you would want to take. Loom though coming in now. Loom already in for Duhak, although he did send a weak villager. And weak villager here will be sent away. Loom is in now. And fighting uphill is also not what you would want to do. Workshop control there. Workshop over here still has the... No, definitely no. No more hole over there. Not completely walled though. Still some unwalled tiles over there. And the workshop in the back still not in control of Duhak. I think that is definitely a mistake there for him. As we have a few villagers there on gold. Duhak does know about the TC. And has control of most of the workshops. Lots of villagers, lots of militia as well. And we simply run away for a bit here. HP advantage in favor of Forteraiger. His military will start to heal, I believe, in the next age. Yep, only in feudal. So in Dark Age, no healing yet. Yes, militia fall. Villagers, though, will survive. Never mind, villagers will fall as well. And resources collected still 300 ahead, 200 ahead for the Wu here. But with control of only one of the workshops, I think that will switch relatively soon. I think the thing that is saving him right now, at least, is having the fishing ships. As we are getting a mill set up here as well. We are getting more houses. But the military advantage here definitely in favor of Duhak. As we are desperately trying to hold on to the workshop in the middle. Sending villagers now as well. Quite a few of them. 10 villagers. Of course, villagers will need to be clicked onto specific units. But we do see a lot of boxing gloves, and with these villager numbers, we do need to... The low HP villager survives, and Duhak loses most of his military here. I would not mind walling in these villagers here just to keep them safe. I also don't think we need gold. But we do have double barracks. You just don't have the eco to support the double barracks, as Forteraiger now has moved out and reclaimed another workshop. As the gold villagers find their doom. And finally, workshop in the back has been claimed by Duhak. A villager will fight instead, will not be running away anymore. And it was looking very solid there for a while for Duhak, but currently questioning his approach here, as he will need to start getting food somewhere else. Moved out here for the berries. Would not mind to add in a dock, especially with the wood that we're floating. But we also need to keep villager production going. We almost have 5 minutes of idle TC time. That combined with not having the fish means we're 10 eco behind. As we have a few dudes here on stand ground. That's also not what we want. Definitely have the numbers advantage and the HP advantage there. Some low HP dudes falling. Some villagers falling as well for Forteraiger. And currently it's down to 1 army for Duhak, 3 army for Forteraiger. And there we go. Small wall. I think this is walled. Not 100% sure though. And both players desperately just trying to get control of the middle workshop. And I like the fact that we are sending a few villagers here and there to fight, but we do need to be careful what villagers we send, because sending low HP villagers not good for the eco, as we have some farms now for Duhak. No farms yet for Forteraiger, who is continuing to produce villagers over the military, which is giving Duhak a very nice chance. Very difficult though to fight on this position. Gotta fight uphill. That's the villager still mining gold. We definitely have the army advantage here for Duhak. We'll need to fight though. And I think this will be a very nice clear up in favor of Duhak. And Forteraiger is forced to run away. And that will give control over the middle workshop here. Will it though? Duhak will need to move more forward. You have the army advantage. Go! Just go! And I think this should also be the time where we start thinking about the feudal age transition, maybe. As we once again have some villager fighting here. Still 10 villagers or 10 eco units ahead. Never mind, there is a few villagers that are going down here. Another villager could potentially bite the dust. But the villagers being brought in addition here is time and time again what is keeping this position secured here for the Wu player, who is now adding in some farms of his own. And it is 3 workshops on the outside versus only 2, and then the 1 in the middle, which makes it 4-2 in favor of our Wu player, who has 13 fishing ships, has redocked as well, as the fish have run out on the bottom side of the map. And that is also definitely something that we can see in the farm count, as there is now only now being more farms placed. But Duhak up to the feudal age. And it is Cumans indeed. But keep in mind, I don't think that the 2TC play here is the correct one. Although I would love to see it though. Would love to see it. Definitely could give control of one of the workshops. Although, like, this is the one that we have in control almost for sure. And it looks like it might be a fast castle play here with the food that we're starting to float. And we need to be wary of the military production of our opponent though. Will be 14 militia. And let's see what the plan will be here. If we're Duhak, it will be a tower. And that tower will very surely fall to the 10 militia that are chilling here. We do have more militia out and about trying to claim or reclaim workshops. And market blacksmith behind as well. We are getting men-at-arms upgrade. But we are getting men-at-arms for only 1 militia. Definitely not what you want to see. We are house walling in the tower. Of course, humans don't get the stone walls. As we are now getting horse collar as well. No double bid-axe yet. I don't think we have a lumber camp yet. But resources looking very close to clicking up. And there we go. Duhak is up to the castle age. And 5 militia here will be enough to deal with the tower. I think Duhak though notices garrisons in the tower. Fletching coming in as well. No quick walls for this villager. Villager could still hop into the tower through the diagonal. And that way only one can hit the tower for now. Forteraiger though has done a great job of reclaiming control of all of the other workshops. So Duhak really needs something in the castle age. And I do see ranges, so I think it might be cav archers, but with only 1 workshop. And what is he doing with his militia? The militia is just standing there. As we will get arson as well as armor. Which will mean that this tower will start to crumble relatively fast. And so will the villager inside, or villagers I should say. As we have 25 fishing ships. That is a fish boom if I ever saw one, and there is no fish traps yet. But we have fletching, we have cav archers. We don't have the gold yet for the next upgrade for the cav archers. Also no bloodlines. Duhak definitely in a rough spot here as we see a market being rushed up by some villagers. Second building to click up. Res is definitely there as we are investing in some warships as well. The swords are attacking the mining camp before we are attacking the barracks, although with the hill and the way that the buildings are placed, definitely looks like we are attacking the barracks. And Duhak now has the cav archers. Will need to micro away though. The numbers are not there yet to just shoot everything. But as we can see, the cav archers, even though in low numbers, will be able to deal with the men-at-arms, at least for now. But do keep in mind that since we have reached the feudal age here for the Wu, they will regenerate 10 HP per minute, which is not a lot, but if we wait long enough, like if we wait 3 minutes, this dude will be back to full HP, which will add up in the long run. But I do think that if we are going into CA, we need to start doing damage, because if we don't, once the Giant Swordsmen are coming out, we will be in trouble. As we are now getting Thumb Ring as well, so we are shooting more accurate and a bit faster. As we now have some skirms out as well. Skirms, not too... You should not be too worried about these skirms just yet, but with Elite Skirm on the way, Long Swordsman on the way as well, and no Giant Swordsman, full Longsword play here for the Wu. The second armor is coming in as well for the infantry. I think we are starting to see maybe a bit of a mistake here for Forteraiger, who has quite the advantage, but with the mobility advantage from the CA, I think Duhak is still not in a terrible position, but he definitely needs to start thinking about the trade workshops. He did lose all of his fish. There's only one fishing ship left that is chilling there. Eco-wise, villager-wise at least we are ahead. But 25 fishing ships are no joke. Although they are becoming more and more inefficient. That's the word I was looking for. And CA make it into the wood line. So more villagers going down. Giant Swordsmen now finally are out. But we do have some Step Lancers as well on the field. And we can see that the CA, especially in low numbers here, not really that great against the Giant Swordsman. Step Lancers though, they will do quite well, especially with the CA behind. And suddenly it's looking very solid for Duhak playing as the humans. Is that again his second TC as well? But I would like to see some Ram addition, or at least some siege to start pushing the TCs. The Giant Swordsman though, definitely the correct call for now, as the CA decide to simply run away. And CA under the TC as well against the Giant Swordsman will fall. Bloodlines now coming in. That is a very nice upgrade that was needed. And longswords will still fall to the CA, as we are going full Giant Swordsman here. 15 on the field, or 10 on the field, 15 in queue. As Duhak's farming eco looking quite solid. We'll need something against the Giant Swordsman though, and I don't think investing in water might be as advantageous for now. Like, we need to deal with these dudes in your base. And the CA are not really the answer there, although the CA could definitely snipe a lot of these fish. Let's see where the CA are. We have 11 of them. No, not all of them. 9 of them are here. And we are trying to reclaim some of the trade workshops, but we are also trying to deal with the mess in our base. As we are losing villagers, we are losing army. But it looks like for now we have dealt with that. And we are still microing back here. Giant Swordsman almost caught up to the CA. As we are trying, I think, to make a transition into Step Lancers, but the food eco for that is simply not there. We do have a lot of wood though, so we could start investing that in some farms. Maybe a third TC as well, to get some more food eco rolling that is protected. And we can see that Duhak is still trying to make something happen with the raids. There is no ballistic, so as long as these villagers simply run away, they should be fine. As it is now 53 villagers for the Wu, who have the rest to click up, but are missing both buildings. And we do have a castle here. We do have double siege workshop. And we will have imp as well. So definitely looks like it will be a traction trap push immediately upon reaching imp, and I don't think Duhak has anything to really deal with that. And not sure if I'm the new caster in town, but also not as old as some of these casters that you see around. But I have been casting the Workshop Wars event for the practice squad ever since Zark's apartment flooded. As we have more TCs for... Oh, it's only 2 TCs? I really thought with the eco lead that Forteraiger had, he would have added in a 3rd TC, but he has expanded quite nicely all over the map. And Duhak is kinda stuck in his base. Also, Cav Archers, while they are very nice at raiding and running around, not really that great against the Giant Swordsman, as we can see here. So, definitely need to be active with them, but not too active, because you also kind of need them to defend. Let's see what we are gonna do once we reach the Imperial Age. That is a very forward castle for Forteraiger, as he is sending quite a few villagers there to build that one, but with the CA there, castle will be at least temporarily denied. At least until the Giant Swordsmen show up. Castle foundation is removed, and we will have the final armor first. Castle will be placed again, as Duhak is nowhere near imp and decides that he simply cannot hold against this push. And we'll call the GG. Forteraiger takes game number 1. And I think that mostly came down to just sending the villagers early on to keep control of that middle workshop. And Duhak not really going for the other workshops. We can see here in the economy 10,000 more rest collected. And it really started to skill here early on. But let's head back to the drafts. This was the first pick for Forteraiger. It was the 2nd pick and a random pick as well for Duhak. So the set is still completely open. And we will have at least one more game. But of course it could still be 2 more games. As we will have Dutch Blitz coming up next. And it will be the Dutch Blitz. And we will have the Maya for Forteraiger. And we will have the Bulgarians for Duhak, Natria. We are opening with 2 houses and 2 villagers going to the right, 1 villager going to the left for Duhak. He is sending his scout. Where is the eagle? Eagle is going there as well. So 2 units to both sides for Forteraiger. Only the scout going so far for Duhak, who is immediately sending it away. So Forteraiger has the easy double workshop control, it seems like. And this will start to spiral out of control really fast if Duhak just allows this to happen. But Duhak went for a barracks very early on. The thing is that the barracks really only works if you have control of the workshop, so you definitely need to fight for that. Especially if we choose to go for a loom as well. The loom upgrade, of course, will help your villagers, as we will have some villager on Jaguar fighting. And of course Eagle helping out there as well. It's not a Jaguar, it's a Snow Leopard. But there is a barracks coming up here as well. I think the barracks will not be denied. The militia will do great against the Eagle Scout though, although the Eagle Scout of course can simply use the mobility advantage. And I'm not sure why we're not fighting here. Maybe we're waiting for the second dude, but now we will have reinforcements coming in. And this dude needs to come forward as well. We are simply giving away HP here, as the scout here will fall to the 2 villagers. And I'm not sure what Duhak is doing, and we are just calling GG, I guess. So that will be the end of this set, apparently. That was very, very fast. But Forteraiger takes it 2-0. Where the Bulgarians will die to the Maya, which is not what I expected at all. That is not what I expected at all. But with that, I will also be ending the stream. I've been live for almost 3 hours, so it feels like a solid moment to find someone to raid. I will be back tomorrow at, I think, 16 GMT, where I will be casting Ola Dushak versus Andy in the Pro Division playoffs. Don't think I will do another set afterwards, as I have some tournament games afterwards myself. But hopefully I'll see you guys then. And if not, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week.